said the edifice forms part of Gold's modernization drive intended to position the company to take full advantage of increased business opportunities the Tema Port expansion presents.
This ultra-modern zonal office strategically located to serve the greater Tema industrial enclave comprising the Tema and Ashama municipal, Poon and Somanya districts, as well as Volta and Oti regions.
The board chairman of GOIL, Kwame Nabatels, said GOIL is determined to position itself to capitalize on new business opportunities as the economy rebounds.
GOIL, in spite of COVID, continued to survive. And not only survive, it went on to expand and diversify.
You're welcome back. We now go for the GOIL TV market, and this week's edition features a service station in the Central Region, Cape Coast.
GOIL, in the service of the nation.
Currently, we are in the heart of Cape Coast. This is known as the Abasi Station. The Western Zone comprises of GOIL stations in Cape Coast, the Central Region, the Western Region, and Western North. The zone starts from Apam all the way to Enchi. We have a station in Halfasini, and we have an upcoming one in Elugu. We would want motorists to know that with GOIL, we believe that every Ghanaian deserves the best. So we give them high fuel. It's got additives in it. These additives protect their engine. It takes out traces of water that may be in the fuel. It also protects the engine from carbon deposits, and it gives them extra miles.
Ghana hangina no petrol no. Ya na ho aden was ropa na 95. Eno na GOIL ya kofa ya de abrew. Eti se wo ko GOIL filling station bia ya no ye nton 91 ni bio. Ye ton 95 no. Eye ahaba mono no. So also yen petrol no a who save sika. Apart from that no so no ema engine na ho aden no ye den ejina so yi less stress of your engine. Obiara uye shankani ana ya driver there SSF we run 95 no and auto ota when you pass over breeze and say yeah time out and you go to win na this no so no the metre woman say you were adibi wo ma your friend no sofa and no say auto na sofa content no e was through bebre a emwa wo car no the sofa no o ka bro chire ni adi nyina omo pray bibi say ultra low sofa e kire say omo sofa content omo use e wa bro chire ho no and say bro 10 ppm yeah Ghana ha no so your sofa no and say e bro 50 ppm but ebinum e ton even 1500 ppm men di adia e fu achi na enkotre wo ka
go fuel or sonko because fuel be your grade. Grades no woman no. Go for or the highest grade. I know was in Kanaka no. Round 95. Now round 95 makes you know. That's something as I offer no XP3. There's after XP3 additive. Bring it for BB multi-purpose. It is the only multi-purpose or multifunctional additive on the market. I said the oil maybe brave. Now XP3 additive now will go for no no. Or change the soup. Or the fee. Fuel him. Tawakano open wuswa o madam wusu no obrazi as of an injectors are o car no nye bikes no no o clean damanya manyama ni na and the most important one in there of wow mafuela etono no the two
what chain is the me pin wa hade afa go fuel the sisi am ye hu ni there go fuel oya sonko o fuel sinya wo
we yento bibio people who say petrol biano have a mono yen near top. Now, Ukona said, I wouldn't engineer my attendant no, ya can't do a book a natural. Then who said, run 95 from 1 year to your station, and it's super SP run 95 in the year. A Mama Sempa, or so via Coco station piano or Toby.
They should forget about all the stations and stick because of the Raw 95 in Cape Coast. Abiasi GOIL filling station is the best among the lot.
I've been buying from GOIL, opposite Kofi Eshuman, Cape Coast. I buy from there because of the fact that their fuel is efficient. From the time I started buying from them, I have never had any problem with my car.
First, no, not fuel, you are, yata, unde, uncle ye mahen. The moment we start to go in, unde, the mako ye, papa, to send there, a mamacano, and rag, engine, and when you can first nature pu usu. Sisi a nature usu na urban ombabio.
Well, I mean, the way manner they serve me, I like it. No delegate, everything is genuine. That's why I normally come here.
Can Adibia use be oil, goil, fuel, goil. Master drivers in here, so one pair there. We'll be in Fort, and we used to goil. And can Calado be changing on oil? We used to goil.
Go, move on. During the day, no, the right now, a check, thank you, man. I
have about 15 fleet of cars, trucks, passenger cars, farm trucks, and everything. I use all gold duplicates, especially the new product of adding green color into their product. It's always my injectors are neat.
Anytime we are going on at the Edmore station. For a car, I used to Ford Wabacano, go along, you go there, my fans and my usual go about 10 years.
North, south, east, and west, we always stand for the best. Goil is good.
Yeah, welcome back, and that was the Goil TV market, which came to you from the Central Regional Capital, Cape Coast. And remember, premium is placed on the Goil Super XP ROM 95, and we are showcasing the products and services of one of our lead sponsors, that's Goil Company Limited. Now, tonight we are discussing foreign participation in the customs house brokerage industry in our country. This has been a long-standing issue. The Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders led the charge and has been, on this issue for a very long time. Now we have various shipping agents in the country who are digressing from their cardinal operations and veering off into the customs house brokerage industry. And this has become a worry to many a player in the industry. Tonight we are examining the position of the law or the Customs Act on the customs house brokerage industry in Ghana. Let me introduce my guest. To my right is Mr. Eddie Akrong. Mr. Akrong is the president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, GIF. Mr. President, good evening and welcome.
Thanks, Anna. Thanks for having me.
My extreme left, I have Mr. Jerry Mensah-Brookman. Mr. Jerry Mensah-Brookman is a principal revenue officer at the Policy and Programs Department of the Ghana Revenue Authority Customs Division. And to my immediate left is Mr. Albert Derek Fiatui. Mr. Albert Derek Fiatui is the Executive Director of the Center for International Maritime Affairs, Ghana. These are the three gentlemen that will be digesting the issues with me tonight. And remember, my name is Kennedy Mona, and I would like to begin with Mr. President, Mr. Eddie Akrong.
Thank you.
What is the main issue with this particular problem?
So basically, if I could take you a little ways back and
Absolutely,
how
yes.
we got, how customs brokerage regulation actually got into the system. I think way back after, the Kwame Nkrumah era, where we're headed mostly to the east, and there was not much business coming into the country, no imports. What was done actually at the time was done by the Syrians and the GB Olivans, the big traders. Yeah. And so basically, I think it was a direct contact thing with customs. Until after the overthrow of Nkrumah, when there were, the returnees, those were coming back into the country and I stayed in Europe and all that, had a bit of a taste for the European way of doing things and the European goods. So they were coming into the country with their cars, their personal effects. Now, these Syrians that I mentioned earlier, all these big companies who were doing business, had not gotten used to this big onslaught, this rush of business coming into, of customs business. But then they had Ghanaian employees who they were working with earlier on. So these guys at least knew the nuances of the ins and outs of doing business with customs. So they decided to take that over. So then you had the go boy situation there. I'll help you get your stuff out. Okay, but then, of course, that is when you started having certain, bad nuts in the system. They would do things. And so the government, I think, realized that, look, this thing had to be regulated. So the first one came in, under the SMCD 188, which was in 1978, and it was followed by an LI. And so that was the first time we had some regulation. And then it kept on, that this is how this business should be done. Right. And this is what you require of anybody who wants to do the business of customs brokerage. Down until, and there were bits and pieces of legislation here and there until all of this was amalgamated into the Act 891, 2015. So I think to get a clear understanding of what this issue is, we might have to read that particular section of the law, is section 43. Right. I also need to remind you that until this section 43 of Act 891, there was no such thing specifically referring to who should be able to do this business of customs. And so if you allow me to read this one, I'll just do a quick
one, yes.
Look at the 43 and then, so this is what section 43 says, and the heading is Customs House Agent. It says, a company or partnership shall not engage in the business of Customs House Agent unless that company or partnership is wholly owned by an indigenous Ghanaian and has been granted a license by the Commissioner General. 2, the Commissioner General shall not grant a license to a company or partnership to operate as a Customs House Agent unless in the case of a company, and on it goes. But this is the core thing, the 43(1). It says that it has to be, no company shall, be granted license to do the business of customs unless it is fully owned, and it actually goes to qualify with the word indigenous. I must put a disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer. I think people were hanged for even reading the Bible at some point, but but we can read the law. So I have a certain, I can read it and say, this is my understanding of what is, I think is unambiguous, that this is what it says, that this business should be done by Ghanaians. So what has happened after, because we still find foreigners in our space doing this business. And it's a little bit disheartening because you cannot do this. It's for no mean reason that this section was put in the law. Like I said earlier, it has never been in any law. So it was for a reason why they put this here. And I'm sure every government, any country, any locality in which you go, there is a reason why they would want to reserve certain specific jobs or businesses for the indigents. Okay? Now, freight forwarding is is an international thing. So it does not put a hold on anybody else doing freight forwarding, be it shipping, be it warehousing, be it transport. No. But in this particular case, it's just a specific reference to the brokerage business. But what do we find in our ports now? That some foreigners are able to do this business. So this is all we're asking, that this one should stop. And we have 100 reasons why we should say that. Like I said earlier. Okay? For me, it is a national security problem, even come to think about it. And I'll give you 2 incidents. One incident that occurred just a few weeks ago. I had about 12, 13, young men and women walked into my office in their, work clothes and their reflectors. So I realized they were some of our members, our employees, and then they just walked into my office. And they said they had just come out of the transit terminal. And this is a customs, controlled area. They had come out of the transit terminal. And they were fuming with rage that they had Burkinabés and, other West African nationals in these controlled areas doing business. And this is what they thought they should be doing. So why is this? I had to calm them down because already I realized trouble was brewing. So I had to calm them down and says, look, we have to delve into this. It is something we're trying to deal with, that it does not degenerate into this situation like the Gutas have it and all of that now. So I think this is something that must seriously be looked at, and we shouldn't take it for granted. Because I tell you what, off the top of my hands, I can name about 4 or 5 companies. The barge freights, the corn ships, the subfolders, the Magdans, who employ nothing less than 300 to 400 people each.
And these are indigenous
Ghanaian companies. We cannot allow our business to go away. In fact, especially when the law says so. Okay? Now, these guys, these foreigners, or these mostly were coming from the shipping lines and, other, incendiary, companies in this community and thought, look, they want to do all of that business. But the law says no. It is for a reason why it says that. So they did not register these companies actually to do the business of customs. They come in as, okay, we want to do shipping line business. I want to do warehousing. I want to run a terminal. Once they get in, they say, oh, no, but then why can't I grab this part of the business? As we speak to you, I cannot go to Lome across the border and even go near a shipping line. I cannot go to Ivory Coast and go anywhere near
because the laws are strict.
Because the laws are strict. You can't even go near it. Why do we do it? Is it because of hospitality? No. This will create a problem. And so it is something that has to be seriously looked at. Because if it doesn't, I think we've got trouble brewing.
Yeah. Right. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Eddie Akron. I'll come back to you. But let me come to Mr. Fiatui. You have looked into this issue detailed, seriously.
Yes.
How pervasive is this phenomenon in our country?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I think what I would say is that it is very devastating, if I can qualify it that way. We are talking about the issue of Galamsey, where our water bodies are being destroyed by people who are foreigners coming to the country.
Yeah.
It is just that the one concerning customs brokerage does not concern any river body or land. That you see our waters being reddish or whatever, but it is much more pervasive than we can imagine.
Wow.
So it's very, very devastating. It is the same youth who should be finding works at the port, who rush to the villages, back to their hometowns to engage these foreign nationals to engage in Galamsey. If the law is being implemented and enforced strictly, we will be having a lot of openings for our people to work at the port. So we think that it is a big challenge and the country must take a second look at it. You cannot go anywhere, just like the president said, to undertake customs brokerage. In Nigeria, they have the cabotage law that protects the maritime industry. So what are we doing in Ghana? Is it that we don't want our people to work? So these are some of the issues we need to look at. We have petitioned the Trade and Transport Committee on this issue.
Of Parliament?
Yes.
Okay.
We are in the process of engaging the Ship Agents and Owners Association to understand exactly what the issues are, because we find that some of their members are the perpetrators of this illegality. So we need to sit with them and understand exactly what the issues are, because we cannot sit and allow these things to be happening. As an organization, we believe that private sector participation, foreign investment is necessary. In fact, they are the pivots around which socioeconomic development revolves. But it doesn't mean that when laws are on paper, we should disregard them with impunity because we are foreigners or whatever. It doesn't mean that we are against foreigners coming into our country to work, but let us respect our laws. The same way no Ghanaian can go to any other country and undertake this business, nobody should also come here and do that. That will only mean that they are disrespecting us, and we are allowing it.
Right.
It should not happen. Yes.
All right, so I'll come to you, Mr. Brooklyn. Customs. You issue licenses. Are those that issue licenses to, customs house agents?
Yes, we do.
I know that.
Yeah.
And so how come that these foreigners possess licenses? How did they get that?
Okay, so before I make my submissions, let me send these greetings to some important personalities. I want to send to the first person, that is Commissioner General, and followed by Commissioner of Customs, Colonel Retired Kojo Damwa, and also to one special person, former Commissioner of Customs, Mr. Isaac Apronton. He celebrated his birthday last Friday.
Okay.
Wherever he is, I'm sure he's glued to his TV and watching us. Yes, I send him best wishes.
Okay.
Yes, and to continue with what you have asked, I think I share with my brothers. Yes, of course, nobody will want to have the same business that we are protecting from indigenous Ghanaians to be flooded by foreigners. Yes, but to make the understanding better, let me start with letting us know what custom business is and who engages in that.
Right.
Yes, custom business is any activity that involves import and export, yes, within customs controlled area. Yes, and this is supposed to be done on electronic platform approved by the Commissioner General. And unless other few places that do not have access. Yes, but largely you are supposed to engage that on electronic platform that is approved by the Commissioner General.
Okay.
Okay. And anybody that engages in custom business is supposed to make declaration either by himself or by an agent who represents his interest. So we have two actors here. We have the owner of the goods himself, that is the importer or the exporter, making declaration on this electronic platform. Yes, or being represented by an agent to do it on his behalf.
Right.
So this agent is what we want to also term as the broker. So the activities that he engages in is what we want to term as brokerage.
Yeah.
Brokerage. Now, the law allows that, as I've said, that the owner declares. So by institutional arrangement, we have given license to importing companies by virtue of their size and by the fact that we feel that would be able to trace them, monitor them, and they are compliant because they are well organized, to have the license to make this declaration by themselves. So which means those people we want to call self-declarants. Yes, so this is the first actor. And anybody that does declaration, we call that person declarant.
Okay.
So this person that does it on himself is also a declarant, but we want to term that person a self-declarant. Now, we want to also look at the other aspect or the other actor that we have called the agent. He is supposed to do it on behalf of others. And what does the law say? In the Customs Act, which my brother read,
yes,
that's the section 43, yes, subsection 1, gives explanation to who engages in custom brokerage.
It's explicit.
Or who becomes an agent. Yeah. And of course, it says that wholly owned indigenous Ghanaian. Yeah, sure. That is perfect, and that is well understood. And you have subsection 3, which also talks about statutory bodies, institutions, government institutions and other institutions who are also allowed to engage in that act.
Yes.
Yes. So I think now the interest is on the custom brokerage. And if I listen to my brother, we have the involvement of foreign persons.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what I want to say is, as far as customs is concerned, we have requirements in issuing the license. In fact, before the person is licensed, he starts with Registrar General. And Registrar General has the requirement that they also go through. If you look at the company's code, that is Act 179, Ghana's Company Act 179 of 1963. It stipulates the activities that the person is supposed to engage in. It also shows the nationality of those persons. And that is what we fall on. So before the person submit application to us, he has already finished with Registrar General.
Right.
So we depend on the Registrar General's company code to verify what has been stated, whether the person has satisfied the requirements in the law.
Right.
So once we see that the person or the owners of the company are Ghanaians, and the whole shareholding structure has been allocated to them, it satisfies the requirements.
Okay.
So we go ahead and look at the other requirements. And I also want to say that...
what are the other requirements?
Yes, the other requirements is for the person to have a proficiency certificate, which means that we are aware that the person is proficient in custom business,
Right.
that he has the requisite knowledge and skills to engage in the activity. We look at that. And we also want to look at the person having an office.
Okay.
Yes, and office, we don't want to look at virtual. We are looking at a physical location of the office. We want to look at the staff of the persons and others. Yes. And I want to say that this is a shared responsibility because before the applicant come to us, he has also gone to the association because we require a recommendation letter from the association.
Right.
So the point is, if the person is not qualified, there's no way the association would issue the recommendation
So
letter.
in this case, we have the president of GIF here.
Yes.
So the fellow would have to come to you for a recommendation.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I will speak to it.
Okay.
Yes. So there's no way the person will have the recommendation letter if he's not qualified for us to allow him to continue with the process. So that's what I'm saying, that it's a shared responsibility. Yes. And as far as I'm concerned as a custom officer, all those that we have issued license to are persons that have qualified. Yes. Yes. So the issue of foreigners engaged in the business, we will not be able to know until we've had complaints with evidence from our stakeholders.
Okay.
Yes.
Your stakeholders in this case mean
That is
the
the
freight forwarders?
association,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
The association.
Okay.
Until then, we will not be able to say that. Of course, we have issued license and we know that those that we have issued are all qualified. Yes, to be granted a
All right, so I'll
license.
come back to you, Mr. Brooklyn, because much of the blame seems to be at your doorstep because they think that you have failed to enforce the law, and that is why these things are happening. But let me come to Mr. Akrong. I wanted to find out from you what the impact of this particular activity is on your operations, but I want you to respond to the issue of people who apply to get this license who would come for recommendations from you, from your from your office.
First of all, I'm very happy about the way my brother Jerry has put it. Look, that is it. There is and he says something which excites me. He says it's a shared responsibility. So I'll tell you what GIF. Now there are other associations, but I can only speak to GIF, which I think is we're in the front line. Trust me. When this law came into being, first thing we did was to make sure that any member of GIF who did not have 100% shareholding structure, fully Ghanaian structure, we refused to sign to give them any comfort letter or give them any recommendation to customs.
Right.
Because we knew these were the prerequisites for their renewal, the renewal of their licenses. So first thing we did, one, we refused them. We even went ahead to write.
But you had instances where people came and the shareholding was 100%.
Oh, of course. We still get it. We're still receiving them. We tell them, look, we cannot do this. Now, but that is the limit to which we can do. But then what happened? So at one time, I have a file in my office. In one day, we had about 8 companies, and we knew these were all shipping line related companies, who resigned, en bloc, who left GIF en bloc. And the letters are there, showed, because they knew we were refusing to give them these comfort letters to go to customs. But of course, what happened? They went to other associations. Because we are not the sole association. So they went to other associations. Somehow, they got themselves into the system. So, as to where that blame goes, of course, my brother will know. We did our bit. Secondly, what we did was to write to the Ghana, the Registrar General's Department, and specifically told them that this is what the law says now. So if anybody approaches you to register a company in Ghana and says in their regulations that they want to do the business of customs, make sure that it is 100% Ghanaian owned before you give them that, So then it continues, because once from there, they will go back to them. Okay? There are other situations you look at. Just look at the courier business in Ghana. I'm not mentioning any companies, but when I say courier, you might know where I'm going to. there's a very thin line between this courier and cargo business, and they are doing all of it. Yeah. But because the reason why I said, look, this is a national security issue, and we must tread very cautiously, is that, look, they are doing customs business. They're actually delivering, clearing things, cargoes, which should, by all means, go through.
Handled by
which
a qualified freight forwarder.
Should be handled by the customs broker, even as they're all freight forwarders, but then the customs brokerage bit should be done by the Ghanaians. Because they have so many instances, and we have kept the evidence there, because we would want to go back to customs and still Georgia and let them know how bad this is. That we have situations where they have delivered goods to our clients who have approached us, and once my client approaches me with an airway bill, says, I have this courier car, but this cargo I know is dutiable. It is not under the minimis where maybe you have to go through the courier system. So I have created a customs evaluation report for it, only for you to find out that your client is sitting at home and says, the goods have been delivered to me. How did it go? But you have a CCVR which is hanging, on your desk, for which you have to pay duties. So you see, it comes with a whole lot of interest, and we have to be very careful, because we need to do the right thing, to save our country. Again, if you have the foreign shareholding structure in there, you know how that is treated when it comes to taxes, and then repatriation of funds. The monies go out. We have to keep it in here. And like aforementioned, these are the things that give businesses to our youth. We have to keep it here and keep, the sanity in there. So it is very important that we have made an effort. Like I'm saying, for GIF, I can speak for other associations. I will never, I do sign these things. If you have even a 5% dilution in your shareholding structure, we do not give you.
So the scenario you are describing to us right now implies that some of your colleagues in the industry, some of the other, associations, may have betrayed you in a certain way, because you were all at the forefront of fighting, particularly GIF, of fighting this particular, issue. Right. And so if they come to you and you realize that the document does not comprise 100%, indigenous ownership, and you refuse, and they decide to turn around and go to the other companies and get it. So it means that that's a kind of betrayal. Also, what are you doing about it? Are you calling a meeting? We have all of you to say that anybody who does this, perhaps there should be some sanctions, even though you don't have jurisdiction over the association.
So we have formed an association with the other, and we are telling them this, that we need to make sure to save our jobs. This is our business. So make sure you do not give them these comfort letters to take to customs. But then we're also appealing to customs that the buck stops with them. They issue the licenses. Like my brother said, they come there with their certificate, the shareholding structure, and everything is there to see. And when you see the shareholding structure, that this is diluted, it even has 2%. Do not issue them with the licenses, because that is what your law says. It's an appeal, and I think it is rightly placed. Because for me, I do not see any ambiguity in the law at all. Because sometimes you hear these things, and I hearken to that, if you have a problem, if you think there's certain ambiguity, just go to the court. Of course, the Constitution gives us the right in Article 2 to go to maybe the Supreme Court to say, look, we want clarity. If there's any ambiguity, just iron it out for us. But my brother, it is so difficult for me to see any. If anything at all, I believe that our brothers at customs should err on the side of the citizenry, and then let any foreign company who is aggrieved rather go to court and say, okay, this is a law, I think I have a problem, and then let them go.
Right.
But for us, this must be for us.
Okay. I'll come back to you, Mr. President. But, Mr. Fiatui, the submission of Mr. Akron has opened our eyes to several other issues. One being the complicity of some of the freight forwarder associations in the country and all that. And the other also being customs not being prudent enough, to ensure that the applicant is 100% indigenous owned. What do we do about such a situation?
Thank you very much. I think, like the officer said, it's a shared responsibility. But in this situation, what we have looked at and are watching from our center is that even though, like you mentioned, customs may not necessarily be following up to know those who are allowed by GIF or the other associations to be recommended for licensing. It is their responsibility to engage in some form of intelligence gathering and follow-ups to make sure that those who are giving the licenses are the ones undertaking the business of customs brokerage, because that is
some due diligence.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Because that is their work. That is customs work. So if other people are coming in, it means that something is going wrong somewhere. Of course, we know that there are unscrupulous agents who also connive with these foreign nationals and go for these registrations. It is for us and the system in general to be able to monitor and fish out such people so that the law deals with them to serve as deterrent for others who may want to engage in such illegalities. Yes.
Right. Mr. Brooklyn.
Brookman.
Brookman.
Mr. Brookman, yes. Let me find out from you. The blame seems to be at your doorstep. Can you tell us why you don't go strictly according to what the Act says, and why you give licenses to applicants whose shareholding does not reflect the 100%, holding?
Okay, so as I said earlier, let me say it again, that as far as customs is concerned, we have not issued license to foreigners or persons that do not qualify. I just want to be emphatic on that.
So you are explicit that all the licenses that you issue applies with 100% Ghanaian shareholding?
Yes, okay. Yes, and let me say this. You know the Act 891, 2015,
yes,
when it came into force, it didn't take retrospective effect of companies that existed then. And I'm aware that other companies that were affected went to court, and I cannot be sure of the outcome. I think later we might be interested in what happened and follow up. But since then, I can say on authority that we have not issued any license to any person that do not qualify. In any case, as my brother mentioned, Burkinabes and other foreign nationals, the point is, how do you identify that a person is a foreign national or not? Is it by color? Is it by look? You see, then we will have to be interested in who a national is and how does he look like. You see, other than that, and of course, I want to share that you can't have 100% system. But where there are lapses, then of course, we are all partners in the same business. And as my brother rightly said, that we need to gather intelligence. We all need to do that to make sure that we are ensuring the enforcement of the law. But as I said, as far as I'm concerned, all the licenses that we have issued are wholly Ghanaian. And we have evidence, as I said, from Registrar General that we depend on. Unless maybe the person has lied and it has gone through, I cannot speak for Registrar General. But we depend on that. And again, too, probably we might be interested in the issue of fronting. Because as I said, that you are supposed to engage in custom business on an electronic platform. You should have the code to be able to do it. It means that you have been issued the license and approval has been given before you can do that. If the person is a foreign national and he didn't go through the process, there's no way he will have the code to be able to access the electronic platform. So is it that we have Ghanaians who are fronting for them? That is a question that we must be interested in. And it is for all of us as stakeholders to gather intelligence and fight that. Yes.
Right. So let me put a straightforward question to you. Have you been diligent in the application of the law in exercising this law, the Customs Act? Have you been explicit? Have you been very, very diligent?
Of course. Of course. Because there's a requirement. There's a strict requirement that we follow. You see, and you should. Let me even mention the self-declarant. The self-declarant, that one has nothing to do with nationality. Even with that, there's an institutional arrangement to make sure that the staff of, the staff of those companies that are in the logistic department are Ghanaians. And there's a person there who has a proficiency certificate. And that proficiency certificate is only issued to Ghanaians. You can't have a foreigner having the proficiency certificate. Yes.
Right. Is this the first time this issue is coming to your attention?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, yes. You know, you might hear, people, speak about it. Yes. But as customs, as law enforcers, we need official complaint to form the basis of our investigations. Other than that, where do we start? And mind you, we are in a country of law. We cannot be aggressive. We need to be diplomatic. So it only means that it is when we have had evidence, then we want to what? Investigate. When you go and you don't get it right, the person has the right to also take you on. Because these are serious persons in a serious business. Yes.
Right. Mr. Akron, I think the fight looks quite bigger than you thought it was. Because from Mr. Brookman's submission, you realize that he just mentioned the element of fronting for some of these companies. And it looks quite murky.
Trust me, I'm even more invigorated by my brother's submission. And I'm very, very happy. Because then we'll know what next steps to take. Okay? Because this is something we've been pushing. Now, I'll tell you what. So we don't have a problem with this issue of the self-declarance because we know how that operates. And then also with the statutory bodies and all that, this is in the law. This is what's, and these are government, statutorily owned businesses. That is fine. We were talking about the customs brokerage. So now the buck stops there. We know now that customs will not intentionally on its own register any company that is doing customs business if the shareholding structure is diluted. Thank you very much. It's easy. That helps so much. Now on the issue of whether you want to you get to the port and you know if this person is Ghanaian or not, that is also we do not want to encourage vigilantism.
For people to take the law into their own hands.
But I tell you what, there is so much the human spirit can take. When our people know that this person is a foreigner, on the issue of fronting, let me start from there, and that falls with us. That we know that we also have some members who would just do declarations and maybe give it to a foreigner to take to the port. Now, this is a warning for them that this should stop here and now. These are not Ghanaians. They do not have work permits to do this business that they're doing. And more so, the law does not allow them to do it. So if you know that you have a Burkinabe who is doing transit, if he brings business to you in your office, take the business, do it. If there's a certain commission you have to give him for bringing you the business, that is a different matter. That's a business arrangement. Do not send him to the ports. And our folks will be on it because we are identified. We have our ID cards to go into the port, into the port areas. MPS recently, before they started their operation, registered all our members, and it was one of the key things that you should be a Ghanaian to be able to get the ID card to get into the port. If you fake anything, that is another matter. So that now we will be on the lookout because we need to protect these jobs.
Absolutely.
As to complaining to customs as to who the shareholding structure, that is very easy. Because, like I've said, we have taken the first step. First, we do not give them any comfort because once they bring their regulation, we look at it, we do not give them any comfort letters. If they go to another association gives them the comfort letter and brings it to customs, should reject them. We are talking to our brothers in the other associations that this should cease. Okay? Now, we can actually identify this because I said you don't have to go far, even if it's with courier, that you know that the courier companies operating are not, unless I am mistaken, that they are fully owned Ghanaian companies. Now, the fronting issue, let's say a shipping line in Ghana decides that, look, I was doing customs house business, but because of this law, I can't do it, so I'm going to register a company. Now, this is where the trickery starts. A lot of them went on and registered seemingly Ghanaian companies. But if you go down, there's one on my desk right now which came in on Friday. Right. They were with us, they left, they said they want to come back. I'm looking at the document. I go back down there, I saw the shareholding structure. I said, my brother, this hasn't changed. Yeah. So you know what? I cannot do it. Yeah. Okay? Now, so that they were registering companies, and then when they bring the shareholding structure to you, say that there's something you have to be very, very, do proper due diligence, or else it might miss. Yeah, sure. So I'm saying it could have escaped them. But then we will help customs now because we want to create that series. I do not want this situation where, look at our markets now. If you do see the Guta issue with the Nigerians, you don't go to the market and ask the Nigerian that please give me your ID. I want to see if you were born in Osu. But So we can identify, we don't do anything to them, but we'll identify them. And this time, we'll have to flush them out.
So what you can do, if you will, is perhaps to liaise with customs and have a standing order with customs, an arrangement that when they bring these applications, please let us know who and who are applying. Let us do the due diligence for you. Let us go down there and find out before you issue the licenses. I think that in a way that might also help.
Now people will also have to do their best to make sure that they do not give these comfort letters to any foreign diluted shareholding company to go to customs.
So in his submission, he made mention of the fact that you can bring in whatever evidence you have so that they would investigate. And you also, during your submission, intimated that you have, a lot of evidence you have gathered, which is on your table. Are you willing to step forward with this evidence?
We will do just that. We have actually written, we wrote to the Commissioner General, just like a reminder of what, the Act says, their own Act says. So we're expecting that is being done. And I'm very happy about what my brother Brookman is saying, that they do not do this. Yeah. If there's a certain oversight, well, yes. With the issue of being a retroactive law, look, I think there is no case there. They renew these licenses yearly. Okay. So if a law came in 2015 and said that from this time on, you cannot do the business of freight forwarding, that is it. If you were in the business, at the end of it, you cannot renew the license. You can make an example out of the luxury tax law that came in. If you imported the car that was over 3,000 or 4,000 cc 10 years ago, once the luxury tax came in, and then you had to, if you were going to the, DVLA to renew your roadworthy certificate, you were forced to pay the tax. Although you had paid your tax, you didn't know this law would come in. So once that law has come in, you cannot do it. Your license cannot be renewed. And this is where they had a beef with us and then left. But like I'm saying, somebody else received them. Somehow they found their way back into the system. Yeah. But I think that we should find a way out of this one.
All right. I'll come to you, Mr. Fiatri, to find out what you think, what prescriptions you give going forward on how we can deal with some of these issues. But I would like to take some of the messages that have come in so far. This one says, thank you for the show. This issue must not be taken lightly as we are on ticking bomb. Foreigners have been allowed into our everything, which is bad. This one is from the operations manager of Mascotsons Limited. And this one says, good evening to you and your panelists. A very wonderful topic being discussed. I can tell you on authority that there are so many of these foreign-owned companies, be it Chinese, Indian, or Lebanese, who have been given customs licenses to engage in clearance. And they have undue advantage over some of us because they have relationship with businesses that we compete with. Customs must weed all of them out and must enforce the law. Simpliciter. This one is from JB in Accra. Ohima from Tema says, great show, I on port. Mr. Brookman, yes, the law may not have had a retrospective effect in terms of licensing, but the licenses are subject to annual renewals, and so something can surely be done unless we, that's customs in the brackets, do not mean to deal with the issue. Is it by sheer magic that GIF is able to turn down applications from those foreign companies? How much more you whose law it is and who has direct enforcement jurisdiction? Please, let's be serious. It's obvious the diplomacy has failed. So dear customs, what next? So that's to you. I'll come to you to respond to that. But going forward, Mr. Fiatri, let me also announce at this juncture that if you are watching us and you want to call in, you can do so. The number to call is 020-552-8353. 020-552-8353. You can call in. My guests will pick your calls, and then we would see what your questions are. Yes, Mr. Fiatri.
All right. I think it is important I put this on record, responding directly to what my brother Jerry mentioned.
Yes.
That unless they have evidence, they cannot crack the whip. Our center is a research and a policy think tank.
Okay.
And I can say here that we have conducted research and have established a number of these companies around that are engaged in the business of customs that are foreigners.
Yeah.
And we are ready and willing to engage with customs to crack the whip and make sure that these people are exposed.
Right.
To be honest, our research brought out that about 50% of cargo, especially project cargo, bulk cargo, is being handled by these foreigners. Because in any case, the Ghanaian doesn't have the capacity to import a lot. It is these same foreigners who are into the business of importation. So what can you do? They are the same ones engaging in the brokerage. Like the President said, that is a national security threat. How do we know what they are bringing in when they are the same people who are the first point of contact to see the cargo that is coming into the country? This is a serious issue that we must not take lightly, and we are ready and willing to give customs the evidence in collaboration with GIF and make sure that this issue is dealt with head on.
Right. Okay, so Mr. Brookman, the texter, one of our regular texters, Ohima, believes that these licenses are renewed annually, and that if you actually want to do something about it, you are going to be able to do that. And she goes further to say that GIF is able to turn down these applications. How come that you, whose law it is, are not able to turn these applications down?
Okay, so let me answer by saying this. I believe it will be unfair to the other association, that is QBAC and FAC, ACHAC, yes, because they are not here. GIF is able to say on authority that they don't do that, or they turn away those applicants. Yes, but you know, I've also said that we don't give license to persons that do not qualify.
Yeah.
Yes, so of course, even if you have a recommendation letter coming from the association wrongfully, we also will have our checks. So it doesn't mean that we are depending on what the association brings for us to issue the license. We are doing due diligence, and we are very sure that the person is satisfying the requirement of the law to say that it is wholly Ghanaian. So it's not as if we are depending on the recommendations letter from the association. No. And again, too, let me say this. It becomes very easy if we want to fight this, because I've said that it's a shared responsibility. These persons are operating within customs controlled areas. But again, the associations and the port managers are giving ID cards to allow these persons into those controlled areas. Yes. So does it mean that people are getting fake ID cards to be able to enter?
Is that not a possibility?
Well, so the association, they issue. The fleet managers issue. They will have to also be interested in that. Yes. So it is not just the issue of giving the license to the person, but it's also a matter of the freight managers and association also ensuring that those persons that have been given the license do not qualify to have those licenses and do not access the port. When we have issued and you have denied the person, can the person work? No. And it will be of concern to us. But I presume that once that has not been done, then we don't have any issue. So we also rely on the association to provide us with evidence that these persons are into the business and they are not supposed to. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And again, too, I heard my sister mentioning that although the act didn't take retrospective effect, so we can still check that during renewal. Look, so are we going to disqualify the person based on renewal, or we are going to disqualify them? Because what are we going to look at? The person has entered. A law has come to say that these persons are not supposed to what? Or henceforth, these are the requirements. And I've said that these persons have gone to court, and we need to be interested in what the outcome is. And of course, those are even few people that we can even identify. Yes.
So I would like to, from a layman's perspective, liken that to the, what do we call it, the post-clearance audit system, where you are able to, after even several years, still go and then do your audits and get culpable people to pay duties. It's not possible that once the fellow has registered, has been licensed, you still can be able to do your background checks and due diligence and be able to gather some information that may inform you that perhaps you erred at the first attempt by issuing the license, and so you have the ability or capacity to withdraw the license?
You see, renewal is not based on entry into the business. It's based on whether the person is complying with the laws. We want to make sure that the person is on track, and it's not as if he's committed any infraction, yes, to be able to renew the license. Yes. And you know, what we have said that, okay, if it has taken retrospective effect, now what do we do with those that existed? If it has not taken retrospective, what do we do with those that existed? I'm saying that it went to court. It's a matter of law. So probably we'll have to be interested in as stakeholders and follow what the law said or what was the conclusion. Yes. Other than that, we will not be in a position to close down those businesses. Yes. Unless it's a business that was allowed after the law was enforced, or whether after the law has been promulgated.
Right.
Yes.
All right, I'll come back to you for your closing remarks. But let me come to Mr. And first of all, before you come with your submission, let me find out from you, testing the law, are you willing to do that?
Look, my brother,
go to the Supreme Court.
That is not the problem at all. We're Ghanaians. I mean, the law says that we can always go there. I am saying, and that's why I made an emphatic statement. Do we have to even? I'm saying that for me, I see no ambiguity in the law, and that's why I'm saying customs should rather err on the side of the citizenry. And if there is anybody, like he said, that some people have gone to, those ones should rather go to court and say, oh, there's new law in there and it's stopping us. So we think we should not. So then the court should make a declaration on it. But here's what I'm saying, because we need to know, has anybody approached customs to say that I went to court and I've got judgment in favor of my company that although my shareholding is diluted or is totally foreign, I am allowed to do? Nobody. I don't think anybody. My brother is saying that we should be interested. For now, we are not interested until they come. If they do not come, let us follow the law. Like I'm saying, if they come to renew, and I'm not saying they have done anything bad, but if they come to renew and they are not a wholly owned Ghanaian company, they cannot continue to do that business because that is what the law says. It's not a matter of maybe they were there or they didn't do anything, so renewal is based on they are not committing any cardinal sin against customs, so because of that they can. If we go on that tangent, then we're nowhere. So then we won't get anywhere. There's a reason why the law was put in place.
Right.
So we will continue to do, like we said, we'll also continue to urge our brothers to make sure they do not give any comfort to any foreign-owned company, be it 5%, 10% shareholding, to be able to go to customs. We're also going to continue to urge customs, like my brother said, to make sure that anybody who comes there, we will do our business also now telling them that we know that this person is involved in the business of doing, because I'm telling you, this thing is serious. You go to the KIA, and we have courier companies who decide that if you are a Ghanaian customs broker who comes to them to do business of clearing for somebody, then there is a surcharge. But if they do it themselves for the importer, then they will not surcharge.
Right.
You can imagine they are rather cashing in on us. That should not happen. Please, it is very important, because I'm saying there's a very thin line, and this, I see what is coming. Like I'm saying, I do not subscribe to vigilantism, but at some point, if you see what happened in our markets, at some point, this could degenerate. We don't want it to get to that point. Let's just follow the law and let it.
Very well.
Kennedy, if I may be allowed, let me say this quickly. Yes, we are looking at an issue of foreigners flooding the business.
Yes.
Which means that I don't think the interest is even on the few that we had them before the law was promulgated. Because how many are them? Yes, there are just few. I don't think there should even be more than 4 companies in any case.
Right.
So if we say that we have insurgents of these persons in the business, it means that we have had addition to I mean the business.
Yes.
More than 4. I think
that is what I want to assure you that we have not issued license to any person that is unauthorized.
Very well.
Yes.
So let me come to you. Your last word, just 1 minute, because we have barely a minute to wrap up. And find out from you how soon you are willing to engage customs, to help them resolve this matter.
Well, we are ready to start work with them tomorrow. But I want to establish that we have conducted the research and find out that there are foreign companies in Ghana that are working. The establishment is that there are Ghanaians who have...
You have the numbers? How many of them are working in Ghana?
I'll give you that later.
Okay.
That is a lot.
Okay.
And it is established that there are Ghanaians who are fronting for these people. So that is the issue now.
Right.
It is not what the discussions has been. You know, the issue is that the people are there and we need to get to them.
Right.
We have identified that and we'll contact customs with it.
Very well.
Thank you.
Mr. Albert Derrick Fiatui is the Executive Director of the Center for International Maritime Affairs, Ghana, and Mr. Brookman, let me get the name right so that I don't massacre it.
My dad will
Mr. Jerry Mensah Brookman is Principal Revenue Officer, Customs Division, Ghana Revenue Authority, with the Policy and Programs Department. And indeed, Mr. Idi Akron is the President of Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. Gentlemen, thank you very much for gracing our report tonight. Remember, we've been discussing foreign participation in the Customs House brokerage industry. My name is Kennedy Mona. A reminder that we will have the abridged version of this program aired on Ghana Television GTV on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Many thanks for watching and have a wonderful evening. Still, I'm not satisfied. I'm telling you.
Metro TV. Insightful and inspiring moments.
Vinyo, mi va popu. Majiba ma glonti nyare na mi chok bagosi masima delang. Wagarawe nya sivai.